Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rourke with Scott Varilek with Kooima Kooima Varilek on a down day in everything, including the cattle market. And Scott, let's talk a little bit about cattle. We were down yesterday as well. Is this market maybe disappointed or sensing that we may not see steady cash trade here this week? Because I know we've had a few early sales that have been a bit lower.
Yeah, a little rocky road here starting today. Thanks for having me today when the markets are all red, but appreciate it anyway. I think the early hopes on cash was that we could get, some steady prices. Looking at that 184 in the north, there was a little 185 last week. So maybe with those kind of expectations, and as we crawl through this week, it's awfully quiet. I think the Packers got quite a few cattle around them. They have some numbers because I think in the end of August, they were buying for several different months of September. So maybe a lot of that has happened. They've got some inventory, and we've got the North negotiators that are, trying to, move through this calf crop. We've got some show lists that are maybe growing here this time of year, and that's a seasonal thing that happens.
Right.
So yeah, now as we kind of crawl through and it's still quiet, board's a little bit sloppy. I think that could pull the cash down just a little bit. So that could be part of the problem here. Not a lot of movement here yet, not enough to really call that we have a cash market happening, but still going to be hopes for steady. Maybe it's back to cash cattle Friday kind of a trade here, waiting towards the end of the week after the close.
No doubt. I'll get back to some chart action in a moment, but let's talk about boxed beef because was holiday clearance decent, or what did you hear about that? I mean, is demand still intact? Because that's certainly one of the things we're watching.
Yeah, it feels like demand has just been so rock solid, staying strong. And there's been some questions about why is the choice select spread narrowing? Is that a weak sign? And I don't think so. I think that's more of your seasonal tendency of, okay, the North has longer day fed cattle. We have more availability. And the South is certainly carrying a lot of weight too, longer days. And they're making those weights big as well. So, and I can touch on that while we're on that topic. But yeah, the carcass weights have been huge in the South, formula country. The Packer has used those as a Band-Aid to try to prop some of that up, with the tighter numbers. And you look at the North, negotiated country, Iowa, carcass weights are well below a lot of those averages in the past year. So it's been formula country that's keeping the carcass weights up. And that's why I think the choice select spread has narrowed a little bit, but really on the demand topic, we don't have a sticker shock type of price on some of this beef. I mean, we're selling some of this beef at lower than year ago levels and most of the cuts as you run down. So I think that's keeping the beef moving. And I like to see that. I mean, you almost feel like, okay, is that a negative sign that we're really pulling that price down? But I think that's actually helping us keeping it moving. So I'll stand up and say, yeah, I think the beef is moving good. Demand is good. It's just this outside economy stuff that we have to kind of keep an eye on. It's just not going away. We've been at high interest rates for a long period of time. And is that really starting to strap the consumer as we start to see some prices of, certain, machinery to vehicles, as those prices start to come down? Is that telling us, okay, use the recession word that we've been using several times over the last 4 years, but that risk is still there on how healthy our consumer is and what situation our economy is actually in.
Yeah, I felt like we held up really well on Tuesday when the stock market imploded. But to your point, obviously, that's something that the market is watching. Technicals, let's talk about that. We're right on the uptrend line. What's your level of confidence it's going to hold? And if we don't, where do we project to?
Oh, it's a scary question for me to answer just because I kind of know how I'm feeling. And my confidence is a little bit weak at the moment here as we hover right on that line. October is the front month. Trading down today, we're holding right on this line, and if we would see any slip up here, it's going to break that, and we'll have to decide. We've slowly grounded this open interest back up to almost 300,000, which is always my personal threshold to whether we have a healthier trading market or not. And we're still just below it, but we don't want to see those funds, those longs run for the door, and that's going to be a little bit of a signal to do so. September is usually a tougher month anyway. We're usually trying to get through the negotiated cattle in the north, and can't turn this market around until middle October. So I'm just kind of feeling like I don't like it that we're sitting down here to start September trying to test it, because we're going to need some boost off it now. So confidence a little bit weaker. I don't know that I have to panic and say, okay, it's going to break, I got to do something now. I think I can take the wait and see attitude a little bit at these prices to see if I need to add some coverage or not. But if we start to break that, then it's going to, it's not going to be a market for me that's going to say we're just going to collapse immediately. It just might signal a more long-term correction type to the market, in my opinion.
All right. Well, let's hope that's not the case. Hog market down for the second day here. Cutouts have kind of, I think, rolled over a little bit, it looks like. Do you think the rally is over here? I mean, the funds, man, they added on a massive amount of longs last week, over 21,000 as of last Tuesday.
I feel like this market's due for a little correction. Personally, I think it's had a nice, strong uptrend. It's got a little bit overbought here. So I think we're going to have that little bit of a hangover starting. We've got some decreased slaughter capacity here in Iowa. And I think as we crawl into more hogs coming into December, that particular month looks like it could be a little bit of a struggle yet. So I think we've got a lot of barns that are full, and we've got weights up, and we've got some cheap feed, and I still think that they're going to keep that, those weights on those hogs. So feeling like it's due for a correction here. I don't know how far it can go, but I do think it's more than just a couple dollars that we're going to break these hogs, in my opinion.
And what about the grains? Corn and soybeans have had 4 up days. We've gotten above some big technical areas here in the market. So the funds have been covering shorts, but do you think we're running out of gas here? Is this some profit taking, or can we keep going? Because we do have a little bit of news, demand, and maybe South American news to kind of push us.
For the first time in months, I think I'm actually a little bit excited to talk about the grains.
You're not going to be bearish today of all days, huh? When we're down.
I guess so. So I know it's been kind of, talk about the big crop all summer long, and that's what we've just pounded into the market, and for good reason. I think we're going to have a pretty good supply of corn coming out here. Yes, there's some variance that could happen in the corn. Beans, yep, that's probably a big crop. I think we're feeling like slam dunk on that one. So that's what the market has penciled in. I think we know that the market has traded that. So it's not like that's brand new news when you start tying into some of these fields and hearing some of the silage estimates, what those yields are, and they are big so far. But we finally get to add a little bit of something new to the story. An end user has not felt pressured to try to cover any feed, to try to buy this market, because it just didn't have anything to do. But now you're picking up a little bit of demand here, finding some export news. We got some more flash sales to China today that were kind of talked about. These inspections are up. We're getting ahead of some year ago levels on some of that grain movement. And I think that's a great sign. So we got this demand kicking in, and then you're talking, okay, a little bit dry in South America. So we're going to start to turn the page onto what that growing season is. Now it's very early yet. That can change quick. We know that, but at least there's a couple other stories to talk about. So I feel like that maybe scrambled some end users to say, I'm going to lock in some of these low prices. And I think you got a farming sector that got pretty bearish here towards the end. And I don't know if anybody's prepared for this market to just kind of boost a little bit. So I'm going to be trying to buy these dips. I'm thinking that we've got these harvest lows in. We kind of got a seasonal low there in August, September kind of time frame. I think we've put that in is how I'm going to try to trade it for now. None of us know what the markets are actually going to do, but I think on this little pullback here, I'll be looking for some long side, and I think a lot of these options are pretty cheap yet. So if you're looking for strategies on how I'm going to re-own some stuff, some courage calls, I think your opportunity is here. We're right in that midst if you want to make some sales and looking for some calls. So if feeling okay about the grains, it feels good to feel okay, I guess, after the beat down that those markets have had.
Yeah, and like you said, maybe a little farmer selling, a little bit of profit taking as we get up into more chart resistance. Do you feel like the psychology, though, it almost feels like things are turning here? You mentioned buy the dips. Is that the trade mentality more so now, do you think, than sell the rally?
I don't know that I hear that up and down the road necessarily.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of how I'm trading it. So I don't know that there's a big group. I mean, it could be, but I feel like we're going to get some more people to join into that camp here if it starts to hold. You know, we break a little bit today. Yeah, we'll see, you know, whether the bear in the woods or not. You know, I mean, it's got to kind of hold some of these dips. So if it takes a couple day break, see if it holds, and then you can kind of decide, okay, this is a real market that's turning.
All right. Thanks so much, Scott Varilek with Kooima Kooima Varilek. That is Markets Now.